Hi, everybody. Angel here. I hope you're doing great. And today I'm super excited to speak with Sean. And we will get started very soon. And we're going to be talking about SoFlo vegans, South Florida vegans, for those who are not very familiar with the US, I guess. And so we'll get started very soon. Thanks for joining. And I have pinned SoFlo Vegans down below, so please go ahead and follow them. Hi, Sean. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Awesome. Thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect, perfect.
Awesome.
How
And
do I
I can
sound?
hear you.
All
So
right.
thank you so much for taking the time. I know everybody's super busy. I
Mhm.
see people are coming in now. So to everyone who's joining, thank you so much. And as you come in, please let us know where you're tuning in from. Around the world, around the country, around the world. And also, please put your questions and comments down below for Sean of SoFlo Vegan, and he will be happy to answer. And again, I did pin the page down below for SoFlo Vegans. So please let us, head on over to SoFlo Vegans when you get a chance. So we have Dania Beach, Florida, and Miami. We have Houston, Texas. Thank you so much, everybody, for chiming in. Please think of your questions for Sean. Think of your questions about South Florida and the vegan scene because he is the person to answer those questions. And I want to thank you so much, Sean, for taking the time. I have tons of questions for you, and maybe others do as well. So I'm just going to jump right in if you're okay with that, Sean.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, here we go. So I would love for you to please share with us how you started your plant-based vegan journey and how you ended up to where you are today, please.
All right. So my plant-based vegan journey started with me wanting to take on my health. I wasn't happy with where I was. I was overweight, and I just started to do some research. Found this amazing website called Beyond Diet, essentially PDFs of PDFs that showed me, what the food that I was putting into my body. And once I had that knowledge, it's like I can't unsee those things. So I started to eliminate certain things from my diet, doing more exercise, looked at paleo was the big trend at the
Yeah.
time. This is like 2007, 2008.
Yes,
And
yes, I
then
remember that.
I had a coworker that was vegetarian. And I'm like, okay, let me explore and see what this is about. And in her explanation of why she's vegetarian, what it is, she told me about veganism. And I'm like, wow, I'm not that far off from paleo to go vegan. And I've always looked at vegan as being super extreme. Like my entry to veganism was Skeeter Valentine from Doug. I'm dating myself. But anyways, so pretty much I went vegan just to take myself on. I had all my creature comforts. I knew where all my food was. And then I went on a trip. And this is around the time Michael Jackson died. And I remember it because, it was Michael Jackson died. So I was in LA, the Staples Center, living a life, realizing all my stuff isn't around me.
Ah,
Now it's funny now as I'm saying it because you think LA and you're
you're
familiar
right.
with veganism. It's like, how did you not thrive in
Yeah.
LA as a vegan? And that just goes to show you that I didn't know where anything
Yeah.
was. I didn't know about Happy Cow. Once again, this is pre-social media. You're looking 2008, 2009, Facebook.
Yeah.
Those things were just coming up.
Yes.
So,
It's true. I
so
joined
I
Facebook
felt,
in 2009. You were so right.
YouTube was like, oh my goodness, get on YouTube. So, so pretty much I fell off, started eating a few things. And it wasn't until 2013 that I decided, I realized what I was missing. And what I was missing was community. I didn't have that support mechanism of someone I can go to and get information from. So I decided to build a community of my own because my background is in building communities and doing media projects and things of that nature. So took some time, got into the local community, didn't see exactly what I was looking for. I was part of this group called South Florida Vegans on Meetup. And then one day, the universe just dropped the opportunity in my lap. The organizer for South Florida Vegans left, and I was already managing a few groups. So I'm like, this is kind of like, I actually wanted to create a group called Vegan Cartel. That was the original version.
Ooh,
That was the original version, but
that sounds
it's
so New York and Miami Vice at the same time.
but it was taken. I couldn't get the domain for it, so I ended up taking South Florida Vegans, turning it into SoFlo Vegans, because a lot of people use SoFlo down here, and then just did what I do for these types of things. I build communities in education and music and anime and manga. So I did the same thing for veganism, and along the way, as part of this community, I met really cool people, and eventually, instead of it just being a byproduct of my health, I realized, okay, I'm doing this for the animals and then doing this for the environment. And now I'm in a place, and I'll end on this part for the explanation. I'm at a place where I'm vegan for compassion, because it's not necessarily vegan for, trying to teach you compassion. As I went down and down the rabbit hole of taking myself on and building self-awareness, I realized that I get to be that change. I get to be what I want to see in the world. And every day being vegan reminds me to practice that compassion, to practice that love, not just for you, but for myself as well. Because if I love myself, I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I'm upset or filled with hatred and anger towards somebody else, because that's not good for my body, my mental health. So I get to choose love in situations, and veganism is the perfect tool for that. And then that just extends to all beings sentient and that goodness.
Oh my gosh. You are like the perfect person to talk to, just after Pelagia of Greek Appetite, who I just spoke with. She's all the way over in Belgium, and she ended on that note, and she and I ended up having a little ping pong match on that topic of compassion. So it is so beautiful that you are just coming straight out the gate with that. I want to thank you so much, because as someone pointed out the other day, a lot of people don't want to talk about the animals. And I personally love talking about the animals, but a lot of people are very, very, uncomfortable with that. So yeah, I really, really thank you. And also the whole, part about self-compassion is super powerful. And I learned that along the way too. Of course, there was, other work to be done in terms of meditation and all of that. But, I'm just really, really glad that you brought that up. We have someone saying Miami or St. Petersburg. Awesome. Please let us know where you're tuning in from if you haven't chimed in yet. Please put your questions and comments down below, and Sean will be happy to answer them. So while we wait, so Sean, please tell us a bit more about some of the changes and challenges that you experienced along the way. You've talked about some of the challenges, and I do think that, and not because I'm trying to, I don't know, make you feel better or whatever, but I do think that in the 2000s, we were not, even let's say in California, they were not as plant friendly as they are now. So I do think that the world is kind of really, really, really ramped up, in the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So, and again, I'm not just saying that to make anybody else feel better. I know I went through it myself. So I can just say that, from my perspective. But what were some of the changes that you experienced along the way?
Yeah, I mean, definitely from 2000. So this is my 10th year being vegan, all the way, 2013 to now, when I decided to do it, build the community and whatnot. So from that time, I've noticed it's amazing to see how much the community has grown.
Yes.
And how many festivals there are now in South Florida. It's like you can every month there's something new, whether it's a reoccurring one or an annual one or a brand new one that's popping up or a traveling one like Vegan Street Fair, that comes through Vegan Dale, all of these different events that are coming to South Florida. And of course you have the mainstays like seafood and wine, which I've been involved with since I started SoFlo Vegans, Vegan Block Party, all of these events that show up and continue to show up in South Florida, I feel are pillars in the community. And around that, you see the growth of different restaurants. Like, I'm so proud. Like, I'm a native South Floridian, and I always make the joke that that's like super rare, that you don't find a person who's born and stays here. So, but I feel like South Florida is a magnet for innovation. And my goal with SoFlo Vegans is to make South Florida a global hotspot for veganism. Like I make up a joke like you play a drinking game if you're at one of my events. How many times I say that, because it truly is part of my passion, and a part of that is the fact that I am a native South Floridian, and I see so many talented people, build and then leave. You know what I mean? I always make the point of like, we birthed a lot of big stars that have, gone on to Hollywood and gone on to the other places. Like Johnny Depp is from my hometown of Miramar. And it's like, I want to see that innovation stay and people grow. And you're seeing that, not even just in the vegan space, but in other places as well. So I say all that to say we're a magnet. We have restaurants like Planta.
Oh, yeah.
They're now all over the country, but the very first one from the United States was in Miami.
Yeah.
Is
that the one on South Beach?
South Beach was the very first one.
Oh, so yeah, I love that one.
So you have these great businesses that are opening, and the other piece to it as well, I feel like I'm on the tourism board of South Florida. I should probably be 50. One of the great things about South Florida is diversity. I feel like I've been saying this more often than not, is that I feel like we're the true melting pot of the country, because you have all of the people that are coming from the Northeast. Growing up, I felt like 65% of the population down here is from either New York or New Jersey. So you have the Caribbean. Direct access to the Caribbean. You have Latin America, South America. You have all of these different entryways into South Florida. And the interesting thing is, and there's also the challenge that I've decided to take on, is there's not a lot of assimilation down here.
Good point.
Whereas you will see, you're in Boston, I'm a Bostonian or whatever you call yourselves, or I'm in LA, I'm a Los Angelinan or whatever. You come down here and it's like, well, I'm Cuban, I'm Haitian, I'm Jamaican, I'm this, I'm a New Yorker. You have people, more Jets fans in the Hard Rock Stadium when they're playing the Dolphins than actual Dolphins fans. Yeah. So it's like you have all of these little pockets that are surrounding. But, the good thing about that is, in terms of the food, you're not going to find better vegan Caribbean food anywhere else in the country than South Florida. Yeah. So it's like,
I agree with that.
Food from Colombian, we have Colombian, Venezuelan, Argentinian, have all of these different types of food available, spoiled down here. And, that's what I feel is unique. And in the last couple of years, I've had the good fortune of traveling to a lot of these communities, just so I'm not making this stuff up. And I can honestly say that, we definitely have something unique down here in South Florida. And the fact that it is a huge travel destination throughout the year, we get a lot of people who bring additional flavors to what we already have. So definitely, I'm excited to live here.
Yeah. Now, you don't know this, but I was born in South Florida. And I grew up in the Bahamas, and then I went back to South Florida. Well, now I'm way out on the West Coast in Oregon, but I'm making my way back to Florida this year. I'm just working on the details. but it's so interesting everything you've said. And you know, we have someone saying that they're from New York, then they mentioned Dominican, and then someone says, I concur. Another one says, that same person says, definitely spoiled and the options are plenty. Another one says, I've heard great things about South Florida vegan food. Awesome. And then someone says, hugely alkaline. Yeah. So keep your questions and comments coming here for Sean, please. So Sean, the other day I discovered by accident a vegan Cuban place in Miami.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
actually, and the name, and in the name of the restaurant, it's vegan Cuban something.
Cuisine.
I don't remember I wasn't sure. I said, well, let me not say because I'm not sure.
Yeah, vegan Cuban cuisine.
Yeah. So, you know, and, you know, of course, you know, anyone who's been in South Florida, even for a week, knows like that's a very, very popular, you know, cuisine. And it's a very, very significant, you know, element and energy in the community. So I think it's really great that, you know, like you're saying, all of these, you know, multicultural cuisines are jumping into the vegan world. Let's see. We have someone saying, "I am Julian Coconut Man."
Oh, what's going on? I know Julian. How you doing?
And he says, "I love Florida." Thank you, Vegan Soul Foodie. She has actually put the handle of the page, Vegan Cuban Cuisine. Thank you for that. I appreciate that so much. And thank you.
And shout out to them. They're like, you know, we were connected with them early on through SoFlo Vegans, and just to see how much they've grown, they're expanding their restaurant in Miami. So congratulations to all their success.
Yes, because see, a part of what you said I can relate to. Like everyone is kind of in their own, you know, own world, if you will, right? However, and I also think that there is a lot of like cross-pollination and dipping into other cultures, because so many people, you know, let's say in South Florida, who are not of Cuban origin, they'll still go to a Cuban place and have, you know, a coffee this or that, a pastelito this or that, you know, a sandwich, bocadillo this or that. So and of course, you know, me being a vegetarian pescatarian for 20 years before I went vegan, I would pull up to, you know, some kind of vegan place, you know, more like a Latin place, and I would order beans and rice, plantains, and yuca. Either yuca with garlic sauce or some kind of fried yuca, because they had both. And I was like, yeah, well, that fried stuff, I know it's really so attractive, but yeah, maybe I should go with the boiled yuca with garlic. But what I'm trying to say is, yes, it's true that there's a lot of, you know, kind of differences, and I applaud you for wanting that assimilation, because I think it's super important, and it is happening as generations, you know, are growing up, you know, and so forth, and there's more you know, cross pollination going on as well. Yeah, so yeah, someone saying congratulations, so happy for them. Yeah, please put your questions down below for Sean. I see some new people join. Let us know where you're tuning in from, either in this country or wherever you are. Let us know. So Sean, before we dig a little bit deeper into SoFlo Vegans, what were some of the challenges that you experienced along your journey? And I know you touched upon it, like you couldn't find places and stuff like that, but is there anything else you wanted to say for anyone else who's listening that might help them to understand that they're not the only ones?
I mean, one of the challenges that I faced was just like personal relations with people, and getting people to understand like why you're doing it, because, you know, and it's or even understanding why you're doing it, so you can articulate why you're doing it. I had, you know, for me, it's like people who, it's such a drastic change when people don't see it happening. It's like, hey, one day you're eating whatever, chicken or whatever, and then the next day it's like, okay, I'm vegan. It's like, what happened? Are you okay? So I feel like being able to communicate with people that you're going to be fine, that you're going to have enough protein, that you're going to be healthy, you know, it's and not getting frustrated with it because it can be frustrating, especially if you can't articulate, that you are doing the research and you're making sure that you're getting the right foods. I think that was a challenge, and I think just in conversations with people, I hear that is a common challenge of being able to keep your peace and your cool when people even start throwing those little jabs at you. And it's not out of love or whatever the situation, but I can only hear so many. Oh, I've got some vegan ice for you. That gets a little
old. Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. I hear you. I mean, we could go on and on about that part, but I won't harp on that too much. But yeah, I can totally relate, because even when I was vegetarian, pescatarian, I had my relatives asking me, well, where are you getting your protein? So I would tell them, I had some yogurt, or I had some nuts or some cheese, and it'll be like, oh, okay. And then, like now, that I'm not eating that and I'm eating only plants, you still have to explain it to them, because some people just, they have fixed in their head that you have to eat an animal-based version to get what you need, and it's just not true. So I appreciate you saying that, because it's a struggle. Hashtag the struggle is real. I'm a part of a lot of Facebook groups for new vegans or very seasoned vegans, and across the board it's the same issue. Even if you've been vegan for an hour, a day, a year, a decade, it's still oftentimes that same issue that you just mentioned. So I want to thank you for mentioning that. Now tell us a little bit more about SoFlo Vegans. You told us why you created it, how you got onto this train here, and what I would love to know then is, do you all track like the number of vegan/vegan friendly places in South Florida? And the reason I'm asking that is because like you were saying earlier, and even in the hashtags I used when I posted your flyer, I even put like travel hashtags in there, because it's such a big travel destination. This is not just for people who live there year round. Some people live there seasonally, snowbirds, whomever you want to call them. I just saw a family who moved from Oklahoma to South Florida. There's another one, and they're a very prominent family in the vegan world. I know another couple, they moved onto the west coast of Florida from like Indiana, and doing great things. So my point is, people are moving from all over, or they're just going for a week, and now it's spring break, and a lot of people are out there, having fun. So do you have any idea, or I guess, how do you all track like the number of restaurants and like even new restaurants? How do you keep track of all of that?
So I have it's part of what we do with SoFlo Vegans. We have a directory of different vegan businesses, restaurants and whatnot, and I make it I personally make it a goal to connect with every single vegan restaurant and vegan vendors and everything. And if you go to our platform, our SoFlo Vegans Instagram, every day, which I'm actually got to post something today, every day we post a video featuring a different vegan restaurant, event, or what have you. So as they come in, people are, I have other people in the community who do the same. So sometimes I'll shout out to Vegan Homeboy, who does a lot of videos, and I sometimes see new things pop up from him. And a lot of times, a lot of the restaurants reach out to us, because we show up on a lot of other feeds through collaborations. So they'll see, even if they're not following us, they might see, oh, SoFlo Vegans, what's that? And they'll message us, and then we'll set up a time to go out to them. So there are definitely a growing number of vegan restaurants popping up. And the other cool thing too is to see some of these restaurants that start off at Veg Fest and farmers markets, get their brick and mortar and open up their own restaurant. We see a lot of that as well in the community. So between Palm Beach County, and so just in case you don't know, what we typically consider South Florida are Palm Beach County, Broward County, and Miami-Dade County. So when I count our region, it's those three. And depending on which city you go to, you'll have 5, 6, 7 vegan restaurants in those cities. And in the county, you're probably looking at, you know, you could have a county with 50 plus, 60 plus restaurants scattered throughout.
Yeah, no, I love that you all have kind of created like a network,
Mhm.
or like a web, and there are like other people who are like tapping in and then reporting back to you, and I want to applaud you for all those collaborations, because when I see those videos, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's somewhere else, let me tap on their page and see what they're doing, and oh my gosh, where are they located and all of that. So I really want to applaud you, because you're definitely showcasing and highlighting and exposing and promoting these businesses, and even if they're teeny tiny or they're bigger, and I really really appreciate that, and I'm sure others do too. So I just want to applaud you for that. And so are there any kind of like upcoming SoFlo events that you, well, no, before I ask you that, I also want to dig a little bit deeper into the vegan friendly places. How do you I guess handle them or approach them, um uh or promote them? In other words, if a place has a few vegan options on their menu, what's your approach or perspective on that?
So a lot of the times, like my main focus obviously are the vegan, 100% vegan restaurants. Those are the ones I do a lot of outreach to, because, you know, it's a huge, I don't want to say gamble, but it's a lot on the line for you to make that decision as a
Totally.
business to go, because it's, you know, you can easily say, okay, I'm going to incorporate some meat here or there and reach a larger audience. But to say I'm going to go all vegan and, you know, do it because you're strongly passionate about the movement and the cause, you know, I definitely want to support you as much as I can. Now, when it comes to veg friendly businesses, a lot of the times I hear about them through the vegan community. So you would have someone who's like, oh, I love this place. They have a lot of options. So it's like, okay, let me reach out to them. So typically that's how I hear about it. Or I might be invited by a friend or something to one of these restaurants. A lot of my non-vegan friends, my pre-vegan friends,
Yeah.
reaching out to me and saying, hey, Sean, did you hear about this place? And then I'll check it out. So most of it, I would say 90% of the veg-friendly restaurants that I go to and feature and spotlight are through recommendations from people within our community.
That's
And
awesome.
sometimes
See,
they reach out too, and you know, I appreciate their outreach. When they reach out, it's because it's at least they're looking to to connect with the community in some way, and at least that brings us to the table as far as an organization to, you know, really have that conversation as far as like what our community is looking for, and I guess meeting us halfway. I appreciate that gesture as well.
no, totally. And because we don't yet live in a vegan world, a lot of people end up, in situations like yourself where someone else is taking them to a place. So they don't even sometimes, they're not even given like the choice to choose, and so you end up somewhere and it's like, well, what am I going to figure out now? Am I going to eat a bunch of sides, which has happened to me personally and many, many plant eaters and vegans. So it's really great that, it's like a two-way street, like they're reaching out as well. So that's super awesome. Now tell us a bit, please, about some of the upcoming SoFlo vegan events that people should kind of have on their calendar, or
So the first one I want to talk about is probably the biggest event that I've done to date through SoFlo Vegans, and I've done either hosted or helped promoted over 300 events since we've started. And this event right here, the Vegan Health and Fitness Expo, was going to be held at the Broward County Convention Center. That's the largest convention center in Broward County.
Yeah.
And the whole goal behind this, first of all, big shout out to Jeff and Vanessa Palmer from Clean Machine, who are co-promoting this event with SoFlo Vegans, and actually brought me to the table because they did the original World Vegan Bodybuilding Championships, which would be held at this event, the only all vegan, all natural bodybuilding championships in the world. And we're happy to have it here in South Florida. But not only will it have that, we will have vendors food samples. We have tote bags that with over $100 worth of vegan goodies in there. We have speakers, amazing speakers. We've got Dr. Milton Mills, who I know a lot of the people in the community know. We have Chef Babette, who, if you're not familiar with Chef Babette, she is an amazing example of what's possible on living a vegan lifestyle, and just so many other amazing. My personal vegan mentor, Susan Hargreaves, who runs Animal Hero Kids, Soulful Vegans wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for her leadership within the community, and so many other speakers that are there. And it's just going to be an event that I feel like every single person, vegan or non-vegan, if you care about your health, you want to know more information from experts in the field, and we have Zumba, we have yoga, so many things going on. April 15th at the Broward County Convention Center. And if you want to get your tickets, we have a special promo. Use code VEGAN, and you'll get $20 off your ticket. And yeah, I'm so excited about this event. It's, been a lot of work, and we're looking forward to it happening on April 15th.
Well, first of all, congratulations, and thank you for doing that. We have a comment from Holly Michelle 18. We look forward to the expo.
Look forward to seeing you there.
Awesome. What you might do, like when I post it, when I post the replay, maybe kind of put a comment in there to kind of direct people on how to get that discount, because it might help somebody, it might encourage some people to, take that leap and go up there, to Broward and attend. So, are there any other events that you want to mention at this time?
So I'm going to add on to the event, and then I'll talk about a few other events. So if you are looking to volunteer, we are definitely looking for volunteers as well. So if you just want to message me on SoFlo Vegans, I check even if I'm not following you, I check my requests and things of that nature pretty frequently. So you can do that as well. So as far as other events, April is going to be a jam-packed month of vegan events, and this kind of just goes to what I was talking about earlier as far as all the things that are happening. So on April 20, the Saturday of the April, it's either the 22nd or the 23rd, we have the Vegan Street Fair, which is going to be coming through. I was able to meet the CEO of that event, and excited to see what they have going on there. We have on April 30th, we have the Heal the Planet Day. Now, Heal the Planet Day is from the nonprofit organization called Heal the Planet, and I've actually been working with Heal the Planet before I started SoFlo Vegans. Every single year we've been a part of their Earth Day event, and this year they're doing it on April 30th. And the exciting thing about it is SoFlo Vegans will have a SoFlo Vegans Village in this event. So I've gathered a couple of vegan food vendors, and we're going to be making sure we represent for the vegan community there. So, and the best part of it all, it's a free event. So after you're finished with the Vegan Expo and you want to go ahead and have some food and have a good time, then follow the next 2 weeks, stop by there. You'll see the SoFlo Vegans tent as well as all the other cool vendors that are going to be there. And then on the 23rd, I'm going to be supporting the Dharma Bears Rescue in Palm Beach. They're going to be having a garden party event. It's going to be music. It's going to be food from Dope Vegan. And guess what? There's going to be some DJ there. I hear he's really good. Looks like me. No, it's not. It's not Black Coffee. It's not Black Coffee. I will be DJing at that event on the 23rd. And then there's other events happening too. We got Aguacate, who's doing an Earth Day event on the same day, I believe, as the Vegan Street Fair. We got Vegan Soul Fest. So there's so much happening in the month of April that the best way for you to figure out what to do and where to go and where to get your tickets is to go to soulflowvegans.com, because we have a mobile app with all that information. So make sure you check that out.
Yes. So first of all, I want to applaud you for connecting with the whole like environmental climate change, element, because what I'm seeing is because some people don't really connect with animals, they, feel a bigger connection to saving the planet. And there are a lot of places, very prominent places, very prominent universities all around the world, who are switching to a plant diet menu because they want to contribute to, reducing the whole, issue with global warming and climate change. And then the other day, France announced that they are going to really be pushing, plant cheeses, which is quite a turnaround, since they're probably one of the, if not the biggest producer, I don't know, of what we call cheeses. So again, and these are for environmental reasons. Those are just a few quick examples. So I really want to applaud you for linking up with, environmental events and organizations, because some people, and I've met people, when I first started to meet people who said they were vegan for the planet, for the climate, it kind of threw me, to be honest. I'm going to be honest. It really threw me for a loop. But they explained that they do not have that connection with animals. Mm-hmm. And so it just doesn't compute for them as easily as their connection for the planet. And so or we call her Mother Earth. So I really want to applaud you for that. Now tell us a bit, please, about your app, your SoFlo Vegans app.
Yeah. So the SoFlo Vegans app, it's a extension of our website. But nowadays, most people aren't, jumping into Google Chrome and typing in a website and bookmarking it and pulling it up. A lot of people just like to use an app, have everything right in front of them, a really easy mobile interface. So on our app, you'll find things like our directory of all the vegan restaurants. And the cool thing about our directory is that it doesn't just like show you the basic information that you would find like on Google or Happy Cow. It's actually content that we've created and curated from these restaurants. So you can go to the Vegan Cuban Cuisines page and see the interviews we've done with the owners and the video food showcases that you might see on our Instagram feed right in one spot. And then you see it for all the restaurants, you can see it by city, and we're adding more and more resources to that. You have the events calendar. So all those events that I mentioned, as well as events leading into the next couple of months, like Vegan Block Party in July, you'll be able to, July 1st, you'll be able to see that and book accordingly. We have other resources on our site as well, like videos. We do a lot of videos over the years. One of the coolest things I like about SoFlo Vegans, which is just a byproduct of us being around for these many years, is that you also get a time capsule of the South Florida vegan movement. You can go back all the way to 2017 and see the restaurants that were there, the restaurants that have evolved, all of these amazing things on the platform. So I think it's great for people who are moving to South Florida to see kind of like, okay, what is the history here? Because I feel like that's important. You get to see how this has been evolving, and that's also a good way to see how you can contribute as well. So, I mean, there's even more stuff on the platform. We have a membership platform as well. So,
tell us about that. It's called Pre-Vegans Club membership, as far as I can tell.
Exactly. So the Pre-Vegans Club membership is a branch from this book that I wrote called Pre-Vegans. So, podcast. Okay.
I want to hear about that too.
I'll get to the podcast in a second, but the Pre-Vegans book, it is a collection of stories that I have curated from our podcast. I've done probably about 100 podcasts now speaking. Like our very first podcast back in 2018 was an interview with Earthling Ed. And from there, we've spoken to Ingrid Newkirk, John Lewis, Badass Vegan, Tori Washington. So some of these stories are in this book, and it essentially goes over their vegan origin story. And that's, if you listen to our podcast, that's the first question I ask all of our guests. What was your vegan origin story? And I feel like the reason I ask that question is because a lot of people who are just starting off on their journey, who are pre-vegans, it might feel like it's too much, like it's something that it's going to be hard for them to do. Having these stories from, like, let's take John Lewis, for example, who just released an amazing book that's available in the stores. Make sure you pick it up. Cookbook, a lot of amazing resources. But his story is fascinating because he started off as a butcher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, and now he's like, I think he just won an award on
Yes.
Best News or something, like most popular vegan influencer.
Yes.
So it's like, it's everyone has their point where they realize, okay, this isn't for me. This is their why, and they move forward with it. So I feel like being able to read it in this very short book, I made it short for a reason. And in addition to the stories, you also have some guides and some quick tips. It even goes over the history of veganism as we know it. Of course, you have people who, before veganism was even coined as a term, that were living the vegan lifestyle. So, in the membership, pretty much it's a yearly membership. It supports us, first off and foremost. It supports SoFlo Vegans because we have our costs, we have our overhead and things of that nature. But my goal is to provide you with resources that's going to help you on your journey, and at the same time, connect you to other people in the community that are looking to make South Florida, take a drink, South Florida, a global hotspot for veganism.
Get those cold pressed fruit juices and chug.
There you go.
I love it. I love it. And this whole word of community has been coming up so much recently in my world. People are craving community, craving support, craving connection. Particularly, I guess, because of the last 3 years and everything that's happened. So I just want to applaud you for that. Now, where do people find your podcast? You've told us a little bit about the content of your podcast. Where on earth do people find your podcast? Well, and how frequently do you produce, more or less?
So the best way to find the podcast is to go to soflovegans.com/podcast. But we're available on all of the major platforms, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, that's where they are now, Google, Amazon, Spotify, we're on iHeartRadio. So pretty much anywhere you find podcasts, you can download our show. How often do we post? Right now, we're on a short hiatus because all my energy has been put into this event here. So this event's over, we have about 10 episodes in the can. We have Gwenna Hunter, we have John Lewis, another interview with John Lewis, Badass Vegan. We have a lot of great episodes. Oh, we have Chef Babette, who we have lined up on there. So we have a lot of great episodes geared up to go out once this event is over, and then we'll just continue to put them out because we're actually going to be shifting a little bit with the podcast. So this is the first time I'm telling anybody really. So we're going to be shifting the podcast to be focusing more on leaders in the South Florida community that are, making change and making big things happen. But the cool thing about that is a lot of the people I've already interviewed. So John Lewis, Tori Washington, all of these people who are either in the South Florida community or were brought up through the South Florida community. So it's not a stretch to say we're not going to have global leaders on the podcast as well. But there are a lot of other people here that I feel the world should know about that are doing really huge things for the global vegan movement, and that will be showcased. But we're going to be launching another podcast called the Pre-Vegans Podcast. And what this will feature are a lot of those origin stories that I mentioned in audio and video form, so you can see them firsthand, as well as getting news stories and reaching out to people from all over the world that I feel like you should really know about. That will be on the Pre-Vegans Podcast, as well as a question and answer part, because I think that's another big thing too. It's like being able to go and ask these experts questions to help you out. And then what happens is, if you're a pre-vegan or you're just a vegan who's looking for the right way to answer a question, that podcast would serve as I'm looking for the word, would serve
like
as
a resource, like a
resource,
tool,
a digest,
or
something you can pull and get those answers whenever you want. So the Pre-Vegans podcast will be launching more than likely sometime after we relaunch the SoFlo Vegans podcast.
Awesome. When you were talking about, like, basically, vegan leaders, I discovered that One Great Vegan is there with her husband.
Yeah, Gabriella and Ace, they're awesome. They show up at all the events, and it's just I first met them at Seed Food and Wine, I want to say about 2 years ago, and just to see that they're here, it just goes to show you like how much we're a magnet for these amazing people.
I agree. And afterwards, I'm gonna send you the name of someone. She is really amazing, and she just moved down there. And she is definitely a leader. When I send you her information, I think you're going to agree. Let's put it that way. And so she and her gentleman as well, who's also vegan, they may be two people who you may be interested in. I think he's been living there for a long time, and then she kind of, basically moved from the West Coast to down there in South Florida. And so anyway, they would be someone that you might, think about connecting with, because I know, like, she is phenomenal, and she is definitely a leader. I just don't want to say her name on here because I don't know, like, she's not, like, I guess, as visible as, let's say, One Great Vegan. So I don't really feel like, there's an issue, mentioning her name. But I'm going to message you that afterwards, because she would be amazing. And she is super duper popular as well. I want to thank everyone who is joining us here. We have someone saying, Black Yogis of South Florida, we're looking forward to the Vegan Health and Wellness Expo.
They're actually going to be the ones facilitating the yoga. So shout out to Black Yogis of South Florida.
Fantastic. Thank you. So tell us, please, about your SoFlo Vegan store. What is going on in your store? What do people need to know? Where do they find it?
Yeah, so our SoFlo Vegan store is a part of our app and our website, and we feature our merch, our official merch. So if you want to walk around, if you go to events, you've probably seen these logos and like, what is that? So that's the SoFlo Vegan official logo. So we have those for sale. And what we do from time to time is we actually have promotions with our gear. So I encourage you guys to not wait until the last minute, especially once we start ramping up in May and June, because we're going to start going back to monthly events that we used to do when we first got started, like monthly gatherings called SoFlo Vegans Unite. And we build up a lot of relationships with vegan restaurants. So I'm not, I'm letting you know. What ends up happening is, you wear the shirt, you wear the vegan flag wristbands that we created, and you get discounts. And sometimes at events, we might even work with a lot of the events we partner up with, and you might get special prizes and giveaways and things of that nature. And at the same time, it helps support us, make sure that we can continue doing what we're doing, because we have a lot of volunteers that support, but we also have people, who work 7 hours at these events that we want to make sure that they're getting fairly compensated, and your support allows us to do that.
I agree. To me, it sounds kind of like a VIP kind of thing, where, you kind of have the secret code to get into the secret door.
Yeah, that's part of the community aspect of everything. It's like we want to make it where people are having a good time, where they're having fun, where there's games. We did a scavenger hunt at Vegan Block Party where you go around to the different vendors. So it's just thinking of like, how can you be innovative? How can you be creative? Keep people engaged, and at the same time, figure out a way to support the local community, support local businesses, especially small. And actually, I forget who the name of the person was, but they said it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to use this from now on. Instead of saying small business, family businesses. So I like that. But supporting family businesses, because it's a community. It takes a village. But it's important that we come together and support each other, and let each other know what each other's doing. And I feel like that's a big part of having the store. And another part of the store too is we have our books. A lot of local vegan authors, we put their
Yeah.
books, like affiliate links and stuff like that, on the store as well. So it goes to support the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, no, I love that. And now I think I caught a whiff of what you were saying about, will there be like face-to-face meetups going forward? Is that what you were
Yeah.
referencing? Okay, because I think that's gonna really help a lot. Actually, I was just talking to someone and they were like, people are well, their perspective was people are a little bit less interested in online events. And so the way I kind of look at it is opposite. Well, that means they're more interested in face-to-face events, especially after, these last, years here. So I think that's really going to be awesome. And I am just blown away by the number of vegans down, in South Florida. I kid you not. And thanks to you, Soulful Vegans, I discover so many. So I just want to applaud you and your whole network for all that you're doing, because, it's hard. It's hard to keep a finger on all of that. And I think y'all are really doing an amazing, amazing job with it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. And so are there any other, current or future products, services, offerings, anything that you want to mention at this time?
I mean, I would say just the best way is just to go on our website. Probably the best thing for you to do is to go to soulflowvegans.com/support, because that shows you all the ways you can stay connected with us. It has all of our socials on there, our email newsletter that goes out. We have a magazine that we're going to be relaunching, that we did a first test pilot on. I would say probably a big project that I'm not going to talk too much about, but I'm just planting the seed so when it comes, it was not the first time you heard about it. One of the things that I've always come across with SoFlo Vegans is like, how do we take it to the next level? Like every business wants to know, okay, what's next? And then speaking with different business owners and things of that nature, one of the things that they said is a limitation for us is the fact that we're SoFlo Vegans. It's like we're grounded in this region. And one of the things that we are launching or have launched is an operation called Vegans Explore. And the concept behind Vegans Explore is essentially what we're doing here in South Florida, but partnering with different communities around the globe to plant those seeds and build that connection to have this global net of vegan communities. So no matter where you're going in the world, you're tapped in, the people, you can watch the videos, the restaurants that are there, and you don't just have to rely on an app that just has the basic information. So that's a slow process that we're rolling out. And last year I had the great fortune of traveling, going to Europe for, a month and traveling to all these amazing cities and traveling throughout the United States. But I did it because I wanted to make connections with these communities that are already out there. Because I know what it feels like to be in South Florida doing all this work and someone just swoops in and it's just like, nobody's here. We're going to, be Christopher Columbus. And I feel like it's important for you to connect with the people that are already doing there, who've laid the groundwork, who may be struggling to get the support from the community, and just do an exchange of ideas. Because I can't tell you how much I learned from the different communities that are out there. Like shout out to the communities that are in Orlando, because that's like my sister city. Like my whole family's in Orlando and Atlanta. Like, I'm the only one here in South Florida. But so it's like I go out there and I have time to really explore those areas. And it's like, oh, we have the Bearded Vegan who's doing amazing things. You have Caroline's Vegan who's doing amazing things. Have people in Atlanta who are doing amazing things. And it's like you learn these things, and I'm like, okay, thank you. Here's a little bit what we're doing. Okay, I'll bring it back. And then it's like all these communities are growing. And now you can, when you come to South Florida, you're home. When I go to Atlanta, I'm home. So Vegans Explore is just a way to be savvy about it, so we're not missing opportunities as people who are really out here doing the day-to-day work to make sure that you have a place to go and that these vegan restaurants have the support that they need. Because it's not always going to come from these major media outlets.
No.
There's so much to cover. It gets to come from within the community. and be operated and managed by people who live and who are working there day to day to make sure that their home is a good place to stay.
Yeah, I applaud you for that because I mean, you know, what you're doing is a give and take. I mean, you may feel like you're learning so much from them, but they're learning a lot from you too. And so, you know, I do feel, well, that's what a community is. It's a give and take. It's a, you know, it's an ebb and flow. So I really, you know, applaud you. And you, I mean, you even crossed the Atlantic to do it. You know, you're crisscrossing the USA. So, you know, I really want to applaud you for that because, again, as we've been talking, you know, people are really craving community and that support as well. So let me ask you then, what are the best ways, and I know you mentioned a little bit of this, but what are the best ways for people to contact you for information, collaboration, questions, comments, etc.?
I'd probably say the best way is the email because not everybody's on Instagram or different social media. So contact at SoFlowVegans.com is the best way, or going on our website and using the contact form there. That's probably the best way. But because then it's filtered to other people in our group too. So just in case I miss it, someone else might, you know, make me aware of it. But if you are on Instagram, that's probably our most active platform. So you can send the message through there, and you know, we'll definitely, you know, check it. If we're, like I said, if we're not following you, I like, you know, maybe like once every other day, look at the requests and see if I'm missing any additional messages. So yeah, and just clearly state, you know, what, you know, how you want to connect, what you want to do, and then we can go from there.
Fantastic. So before I ask you to wrap this up and put a bow on it with your final thoughts, I want to thank you so much, Sean, for coming on today. I want to thank everybody who joined either live or on the replay. You know, and I just think you've created a really beautiful energy down there in South Florida, and obviously it's working because I am blown away by the number of South Florida vegan, you know, options that I'm seeing just through social media. So I really want to applaud you for that, and thank you so much. And then I want to ask you what your final thoughts are for us today. Anything else you want to leave us with to wrap this up and put a bow on it, please?
Yeah, I would definitely say thank you for the opportunity. It's refreshing every once in a while to be on the side of the camera. I'm usually the one asking the questions, so thank you for this opportunity. And I would just say, like, you know, the reason I wrote this book is because there's just so many people who are interested in the lifestyle. You know, even just in my family and my close personal friends, you know, they come to me and they're like, I'm trying. And whether it's them or me not being able to give them the support right then and there, because it's just so much, I feel like what I would leave you with is just understand your why. Start from there, why you're doing it. And this could extend to anything, not even just veganism, but let's just speak about veganism. Know why you're doing it, because that why is going to be that lifeline that pulls you out of the confusion and the frustration that can come with adopting something like this. And if your why is strong enough, you know, any excuse, any limitation that shows up for you is not going to compare. So I would say focus on that. And once you figure out that why, just remind yourself of it in those moments and use that as your North Star, as your lighthouse to continue moving forward on this journey.
That was beautiful. That was perfect. Thank you so much. It reminds me of once I had really solidified my why. I was going through an airport somewhere in the US. This was a few years ago. And previously, I would have, you know, caved and like eaten something that was vegetarian. And once I really decided, nope, this is it, I ended up eating a plain bagel. So meaning the bagel just has, I guess, some kind of flour and water and probably salt in it. But I told myself, yeah, you know, this is not exactly my best meal ever, but I'm doing it, you know. And I was in also when I traveled I was on a trip a few years ago, and I went into like a local restaurant, so it was not vegan, and I ended up having white rice, white potatoes, and because they said even the spinach had like butter in it, and I was like, you know, I'm not doing that. So my point is, you know, you may end up feeling like you are, you know, I don't know, missing out on whatever you were, you know, eating before or experiencing before. But, you know, once you know your why, like you said, it doesn't even matter. Like I just use those as experiences, as opportunities, I guess, to prove to myself, well, hey, you know, am I really serious about this?
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Sean. Thanks everybody as well. Sean, I am going to post this on my feed and on IGTV and stories, and then I'll message you after.
All right, I appreciate that.
All right, thank you, and take good care. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye,
Sean.
everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.